At the Track is powered by Marie's Custom Tees, Tumblers, and more, Baggett Racing and Automotive Services, B. Buckler Designs, and BsSmall Engine Repair. Now let's get into today's episode.
All right, what's up, everybody? Redline Gary coming at you here, and I got a special guest, Mr. Curtis Noble, perhaps one of the youngest guys that I've had the opportunity to interview. But this dude is no joke of a driver, and when you see him at the track, you will know everything about this channel. This guy delivers. So with that, Curtis, thanks for being here, and tell us a little bit about how you got started racing.
Hey, I really appreciate the compliment and appreciate being able to be on here. So yeah, starting out racing, I've always loved to watch it, but I didn't get into it until probably 5 years ago. Before that, I have a lot of drifting experience. My family has a business and we manufacture drift trikes. So through R&D work in those and going around doing demos and stuff, I picked up on a lot of drifting. I got to do a lot of formula drift events with the drift trikes. It teaches you a lot about being sideways and, managing your speed while you're still skidding, basically. But other than that, I had a few opportunities. The first year we built a compact car and got my hands, down into that and learned a lot. And then I had an opportunity to step into a late model and had a few rough goes in the beginning, but very, appreciative of all the opportunities I've had and something new coming this year. So yeah, if that gives you any kind of backstory.
Oh yeah, and that wall hurts in turn two.
It does. Yeah.
It just you made a thing on social media a while back when you were running late model where you guys went down to Florida and you were looking at the pit crews and stuff and came back with like a whole wealth of knowledge that you were sharing. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so through a few different, people, here and there, I got the opportunity to go down with Team Platinum from Dayton, Ohio. The first year with one of my good friends that also drives. His name is Alex Zirkle. And that year we didn't get to do a whole lot of hands-on, just stand back, kind of grab wrenches, do whatever they needed. We wanted to be more a part of it. But at that point, we didn't know the first thing about their late models or anything they were doing. Everything we were seeing was brand new. And it's at the Snowball Derby, Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. The best of the best are there. It's no joke. And, coming in, not knowing much, we got to help with tires and change tires in the pit stops and just things like that. And just standing back and watching what these guys do is just absolute next level stuff that compared to what you see at your short tracks. And we were able to win the Snowball Derby that year. Travis Braden was the driver, and it was an absolute, amazing thing to be a part of. But through that, we picked up on a lot of knowledge and preparation at the racetrack. You shouldn't have to be able to do a lot of little things that I see guys doing up here. And, I'm no know-it-all, but to be able to see what these top tier teams do in preparation, and then they don't have issues at the racetrack because of that. Or if they do have an issue, they're prepared for it. It's no big deal. And it's something that keeps people from having a, night ending issue. But we got to go back a year later and work for another team that was a great learning experience as well, because you get to see another top tier team and how they perform with all their ride rentals that they have. They have a lot of different people that rent cars and come in. So being able to work with those people and listen to the drivers and be a little more involved that year was great, because you learn a lot about little tricks they do to make the car turn, fix this problem with this resolution. So it's just, it was a great opportunity to have and be a part of.
Who's on your team?
So the team I have, it's changed a little bit. As far as, do you mean like people that help me at the racetrack, people I race with, things like that?
Yeah, because I know that has changed over the course of since you were in a compact all the way up until present day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've worked with several great teams. The first people that kind of gave me my big chance and a chance to get in a late model was Jeff and Angel Wooten. They're local here. They own a business, and they took a huge risk with me. Every risk has some reward. And, to get the exposure out there. And he and I both learned a lot about late models. And I'm still, like I said, very grateful for all the opportunities I've had. But we since moved on. He's got a great driver in his cars now and got some new equipment, and they've already gotten a win this year. So it's great for them. I'm happy for them. The next year, which, I raced with them for a few years. Last year, I actually raced one of our own cars that is a Torino. It's painted like the Starsky and Hutch car from, all the movies they have. And it's a great car to drive, a lot of horsepower, very heavy stock car like suspension, and you slide that thing around. And I had a lot of good racing with it last year. I think I finished second more than anybody else. At one point in the season, a little over the halfway mark, I had led more laps and finished second more than anyone. And the one person that kept beating me out of it was a great racer. He's like a legend at Shady Bull. His name's Scott Drake. And he could always seem to keep it close enough and then muscle me out of the way on some of the restarts we had with, 2 to go. So it had some tough breaks there. And I also drove one of my own cars that was a Crown Vic. We built several of those cars for people around Shady Bowl just to help get that class going last year. And that was just an absolute fun class to be a part of. Those cars are big and heavy. One of my best friends also races in that class, and he's a person that's on my team, you could say. His name is Alex Zirkle. And then, I always have supportive sponsors and people like that, my family. My fiance, she's always been there by my side to help me with everything. And, just several friends that want to see me succeed, and they'll do what it takes to be at the racetrack and help me. But as far as this year, I'm racing for a new team. He's got a couple drivers that had great success in a Crown Vic last year, and I'm supposed to get married this year. We have plans for that in October, so I was planning on backing off of racing some this year and doing some family stuff.
Be a racing wedding, just saying.
Yeah. But we had planned on backing off a little bit of racing, and I had this opportunity arise, and it's like, it'll be great, get back in a Crown Vic and have some fun. And I'm driving for, I don't know if you can see it on my shirt, but Bullet Liner of Dayton. They had great success with that car last year, and Nick Barrett as the driver. He's going to be driving it again this year, but we're going to split up the races. Ones that he can't make, I'm going to run. So my first race is actually this weekend on Saturday, April 16th. So I'm very excited for that. Hopefully we can take off right where they left off last year with a very fast car. But other than that, I hope that answers some of your questions. I don't plan to we might bring the Torino back out some this year, if I get bored and it's like we need something to race, but it's honestly sat there all year, all winter, and we really haven't touched it much, just with no plans to race it.
Oh, yeah. So you brought up sponsors, Bullet Liner being one. Who are some other sponsors that are with you this season?
So we always have our sponsors that my family has several businesses. My dad and my mom and myself all contribute to. That's really, we're the only workers we have. So it's kind of just a family business, but we have several different branches of our company. The biggest one being NTC Drift Trikes, as I spoke about before. The next one, we make all kinds of fabrication parts for race cars, skins, to cover headlights, door handle covers, things like that. That company is called Speedy Skins. It's on Facebook. And the company that I own, that I do 90% of my time during the day, is spent powder coating. And that company is called Noble Armor Coatings. I've been doing that since I was 15. And we started doing that just to powder coat for the drift trike side of our company instead of outsourcing all that. I was able to do it in-house, and, saves a lot that way. But that company, it really helps fund our own personal car. But, this year, stepping out to a different team and having Bullet Liner has done basically everything. It's been amazing. I just have to go pick the car up and race it. It's pretty much ready when I'm there, and I don't really have to spend time working on it or anything. So I couldn't be more happy. It's a great, great opportunity, and just very thankful for it.
What makes racing special to you?
Ooh, that's a deep one. Racing is, I've always found myself to be pretty competitive. Even in high school, I ran track. So we're still turning left, jumping over hurdles is what I like to do, and sprinting. So to me, to get into a car, you kind of conform with the car and become one machine, if you will. You're the pilot of it, but at the same time, it's something great that, gets that excitement inside you. The competitiveness gets that out of you, and some aggression as well. I like to try to be pretty happy all the time at the racetrack, but there are bad days that are, difficult to get through. You're not the fastest and you got to fight your way back. But to me, that's what racing's about. It's about having fun and spending time with family at the racetrack, stuff like that. And I've made so many great friends, also made a few enemies, but I always try to resolve those things, and just that to me is what racing is all about, is the camaraderie, the friendship, and spending time there and just enjoying it, soaking it up.
Because like I remember when we were next to sharing a pit, I think it was with your fiance in the Crown Vic class, and I was watching you bounce around from like 3 different cars just like a machine. And then you were helping with the tires, getting guys their tires. And it was just like, a lot of people don't understand that atmosphere that goes on in the pits. Like everybody's trying to help everybody for the most part. And that family piece, that friendship, I mean, it's almost like your track family when you go every Saturday. And if somebody's not there, somebody's calling them and going, "Hey, where are you?"
Yeah. Absolutely. Last year, my friend Alex and I spent a lot of time helping a few newcomers in the Crown Vic class. We thought we had a pretty decent setup for that track. Now, there's not a ton you can change in those, but getting your air pressures right, and somebody that's doesn't know what stagger is or doesn't know how to set the toe on their car, that's someone that is going to struggle, because if they, tap somebody and knock the toe out, bend a ball joint or something, and they don't know how to recognize they have that issue, they're just going to keep hurting themselves in the long run because they don't know they have an issue. So being able to help some newcomers that did actually very well throughout the season. And, like you said, we would pit. If I wasn't racing and I was just there to change tires or something, we would park 3 or 4 cars right there in our area. And I primarily stuck to Alex's car because he was trying for a championship last year, ended up finishing 4th because we had an issue in qualifying one week and the track wouldn't let him qualify. But so that was my primary car I focused on when I wasn't racing, just being the setup guy, trying to help him, let him do the best he could. But other than that, I helped a few newcomers, did the same thing, taught them how to check stagger, taught them how to set their toe, and they really learned how to feel what the car was telling them and how to make a change to it, where if I wouldn't have ever helped them, they would have just been in no man's land. So always glad to help somebody, because that's how I learned in the beginning, was those guys in the compact class, lower that left front, get it down on the ground, things like that. Really helped me in the beginning to get my car to be somewhat competitive.
Well, here's another one that goes alongside of that. What's your favorite race that you've been a part of to date?
Oh man, that's my absolute favorite one. There's a lot that come to mind. I felt very accomplished last year when I finished the Thunder Car race, because we had a transponder failure. So they pulled me off the track. I went back on in the Thunder Car 2 laps down, and I would race all the way through the field, get to 3rd, chasing Buck Pertee and Scott Drake, 2 of the best racers up there. And the caution would come out. So being 2 laps down, I was trying to get up there, and I was faster than they were a couple times too, to where I could have unlapped myself, but they'd put you back to the tail. So I'd have to race past all those guys again. At the end of that one, I outlasted a lot of the guys and still finished 3rd. That one I felt very accomplished by, but my favorite race to be a part of was, I have to say, probably my first ever heat race win. I've won a few features now, but my first couple years on a late model, we struggled a lot, not knowing how to set the car up. We kind of jumped into it with both feet, unaware of, how to change stuff, how to fix things, how to get the car faster. So once we learned some of that and we had a really good car to work with, I had great success, didn't put a scratch on the car the whole year. And when I won my first heat race, I got a good jump on the start. I was outside pole and I led every lap of it. There was actually a caution, so I had to do it all again, hit my shifts, get everything right. And, you know, my friend Alex was helping me work on the car, and we had a great, absolute great opportunity to work with Mark Metz. He is a late model legend as a crew chief. He was there that day to help us twist on the car and fix some things. And you know, when I took the white flag, I started crying because it was like I've had so much failure in these cars and just terrible luck. People used to come up to me and they'd be like, man, if you didn't have bad luck, you wouldn't have any luck at all. And, you know, it's just a heat race. We ended up finishing 5th, I think, that night in the feature. But to win your first heat race, you know, as that's your first ever win at the racetrack, it's just this feeling of, you did a great job. You didn't tear up the car. You know, everything went perfect in your way. And that was just that. I shared a picture on my social media account on Facebook a few, probably 6 or 7 months ago, of that, an image someone captured of us when I pulled back into the pits. And I think I'm hugging my mom or someone, and my dad's hugging the car owner, like, and my whole crew that's there is just going nuts. Everybody's cheering. And that moment will always stick in my head as one of the most, you know, one of the greatest moments I've ever had, just to, you know, get that first heat race win. That's gotta be it.
Oh yeah. And you know, those that don't race, they don't know how much work goes into that one win. And then when it all comes together, it's an unforgettable feeling.
Absolutely.
You know, so with that, what would you like to see more in the racing community, the racing sport in general?
Well, racing always has its fair share of drama. That's something that it's part of it. It makes it interesting. But, you know, we could always use a little less of that, more camaraderie. But I would like to see someone start a program that they get sponsors for, to help kids get into racing. You know, go to a high school and help, you know, if the high school is willing to work with them, start a program for someone that it's like, yeah, I love racing. I watch NASCAR every week. And granted, your local short track is not NASCAR. You have to go into it with that understanding. But if you have the means to better someone's future and give them a knack, something to look forward to every day, because they just go home and play their Xbox or play their PlayStation or, you know, whatever they may be doing. If you can give them something and teach them a skill set, how to work on a car, how to get around a racetrack, how to drive even, that's something to me that would be an absolute great thing for racing, just to help the youth of today find something, you know, in racing, get their heart and soul into it and teach them something.
Most definitely. I've always, you know, said that the youth is what's going to save our sport.
Absolutely.
You know, because I mean the older guys. I mean, now mind you, you know, I go asphalt and dirt. I mean, there's guys like Bill Cantley, for instance, Shady Bull. Man's in his 70s and he could still hang with them, and the dude hits his marks flawlessly.
Yep.
Not the fastest guy out there, but he's smooth.
Yep.
You know, and it's like. And then you watch on dirt, like, you know, some of the guys in previous interviews that names have been mentioned, you know, these dudes are 70 and 80 and still wheeling these cars around. But what happens when they retire? You know, there's not a lot of guys in the 20, 30-year-old range that are coming in, and, you know, most of them, they don't have the means, like you said, that to keep doing it every weekend, because I mean, it's paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all about the youth getting involved and getting their feet wet. So,
There's you brought up Bill Cantley. He taught me a lot my first year in a late model. He kind of took me under his wing, and he is an absolute great guy. But to talk a little bit to what you said there, one person that really comes to mind, and I heard this in an interview he did, if you're familiar with Stephen Nassy, he did an interview where he said, you know, I'm basically a lifer. And to me, what he means by that is he's ran ARCA cars before. His family is very well off and they have the opportunity, he could go race whatever he wants. He's great. But when he sticks around and keeps the late model scene alive, he's a lot older than most people think. And, he's got great genetics. He looks like he's 25 still. But, he helps keep the late model scene alive. Now, granted, it is a top tier late model team, but, for someone that has that kind of commitment to short track racing, that's a huge, props to them, because they're not moving on and trying to just, that was part of my past, I'm moving up. And to see people like Chase Elliott from the Cup Series come back and run the Derby, I get, part of that's got to be promoting and stuff like that. But it also, that's back to his roots. That's back where he started. It's like Michael Waltrip coming to Shady Bowl and racing a Vors car. He had never, I'm sure in his wildest dreams, thought he would be in a Toyota Celica running around Shady Bowl Speedway. But for those guys to stay in it and, keep promoting something that they love and believe in, that's what it's all about. That's the heart and soul of racing right there.
Oh, yeah, it is. Now here's a question for you. And I know you'll knock this one out of the park. What motivates you?
Well, I like to say, I kind of answer it in two different ways. What has taught me to stay motivated is my dad kicking me in the butt my whole life. I used to go to school and come home and work till 10 or 11 at night to help build a business. And that really teaches you work ethic and, how to stay motivated and, your eyes on the prize, I guess you could say. But as far as in racing, at first you're out there to have fun, and then your competitiveness kicks in a little bit, and it's like, I want to do better. How can I gain a 10th? You'll do anything for that 1/10. And then after you gain that 10th, it's like, how do I get the next one? But, I enjoy through selling our trikes. I do a lot of salesman things. So talking to people, trying to push our product. So I enjoy the part of going out and finding that sponsor too. You got to pitch it. You got to be able to sell it. And then once you sell it, you got to be able to represent that brand as best you can. And you have to be that brand's image. So to me, that's part of the challenge. It's motivating too, is it's like, I want to keep moving up and finding bigger and better sponsors. I shouldn't say better sponsors, but someone new to work with after that ship has sailed. And, to me, that teaches people things in life as well. Like if you're ever, I'm also part of a local club, and that club has never had anyone reach out and, get funding or anything like that. So with me having a skill set of talking to sponsors and finding people to donate money, I was able to go find, we had a swap meet lately, and we had all kinds of door prizes. I was able to get local businesses to donate just through that, having the skill set of being able to talk to people and get that information out there and getting donations. So that teaches some people things. But to get back on point, what really motivates me is just the ability to go out and perform and try to win. That's once you've won, it's like someone told me once when I first started racing, I called a gentleman and was like, man, where can I buy a racing seat? He said, you're going to start racing? I was like, yeah, I want to try it. He's like, son, you might as well have taken up a drug addiction. It would have been cheaper. And, once you get that in your blood and your veins, it's something that's just hard to put down. So I think that's really what helps me be competitive.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, racing is addicting. I mean, it will consume your whole life at some point, but it's a way of life.
Absolutely.
And that's why, another reason why I wanted to share these stories of the drivers and things is because a lot of people, they don't come from the same background. And you get to really see names that you're not familiar with, because everybody knows, like, a Chase Elliott, a Kyle Larson, or whatever. And you see hundreds of interviews, but these are, like yourself, people can go to Shady Bowl. They can come up to you in the pits and, talk to you, providing you're not busy.
Yeah.
There is that fine line of, hey, but for the most part, I mean, it's like the unsung heroes, that are there every week to provide quality entertainment. And I've said it in numerous interviews. Where can a person go for under $30 and have an entire day's worth of entertainment?
Yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, literally. I mean, there's some days we were at the track from 1 p.m. until like 3 a.m.
Yeah, waiting on those compact races.
That too. Oh, there was a few of them that were, I mean, I remember one individual had to be life flighted, and that delayed a lot. I mean, that was a scary situation in and of itself.
Yeah.
But now you mentioned social media. Where can people find you and try to find out what days you're racing and things like that so they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, so typically I have a Facebook. I don't have an Instagram, but on my Facebook, it's just Curtis Noble Racing. And I posted a lot last year. I tried to update things and keep things rolling. I haven't been too great on it this year because, like I said, I really didn't have plans of racing much. And then this opportunity arose. So I will be, updating on my race schedule and things like that. But, that's about it. I made a Twitter one time, but I used to use it in high school a lot and haven't ever since.
Right. Yeah. But, Noble, armor coating, Instagram may be a thing. I mean, just saying.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that they have a really good following on TikTok, and I made one just so I can, watch videos, but I've never posted on it. And a lot of car guys that I do work for seem to the work I do powder coating wise seems to go pretty good on TikTok. The car scene really likes it. So that's been pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Well, now for the bonus question, because I mean, you pretty much knocked everything question wise out of the park.
I appreciate it.
But I knew you would. I mean, you're very well spoken and things and knowledgeable. So
thank you.
But merchandise, have you thought about it or do you have it?
Well, when I raced for what we called TWR, we had several late model shirts that I had made a little website and we were selling the shirts and stuff like that. They were selling them at the sponsor's house or shop, I should say. Sorry. But after that, I never really made any merch. I do have, so on the back of our old Torino, the vinyl letters say old school cool. And it's just something somebody said one day at the racetrack, and it's like, man, that's pretty cool because it's one of the older bodies there. You don't really see them. So we did make up some shirts that said 88 old school cool. I might try to work in some shirts this year. I can definitely get you guys some bullet liner shirts if that's what you're into. Bullet liner of Dayton. But other than that, no Curtis Noble Racing merch as of yet.
Yet.
Maybe I can work it in. Yeah. I do a great shirt guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's one of the things that I'm seeing a lot of drivers, especially at the bowl and other tracks around Ohio here. A lot of like, not full-time racing guys, like big teams, they're coming out with merch and they're trying to hang with the big boys. And I mean, that's great to see. Yeah, because I mean, it's nice to look up in the stands and see, hey, look, there's people wearing my merch, they're rooting for me, and I mean, ultimately, like I look in the grandstands all the time and I'm like, man, I remember the days of the bowl when it was packed, wall to wall people. And, I want to bring awareness to, supporting your local racetracks and, bring out the entire family. I mean, the entire family.
Yep.
Just to see, some racing action. But it's more than that because, I mean, you have, like you said before, it's like a family. And even in the grandstands, it's like that too. I mean, there's people that are there every weekend that, they share food. They will help you if it starts raining or whatever. I mean, it's not what typical people would assume. It's more, neighbor helping neighbor thing. Everybody's there for the same purpose.
Yeah. I think if people have ever been to a NASCAR race, they have that stigma of that's what's going to happen at your short track too. And it is 180 degrees the other way. People are great at short track races. It's cool to see the fans kind of make a racer their, I don't want to say hero, but, they become a fan of a, I don't want to say a no-name racer, but someone from the short track series. I have fans that I've never met before that, I won a race last year and I get up on top of the car and I'm waving the flag and these people are cheering and clapping. I don't know who half these people are, but they love me.
Right.
And to me, that just makes me super happy inside too. And happy to see people, support, come out, check things out, and they might learn something too,
Oh yeah. So before we close this out, I do want to say, thank you very much once again for taking the time out of your day. I know this Saturday is racing season for us. It starts.
Yep.
So, thank you. For anybody watching, make sure to hit the like button. Leave a comment down below for Curtis. I'll send him the YouTube link. Make sure to check out his businesses and his sponsors. Even I'm sure that they can ship. If you need something powder coated or whatever, you can send it to them. Just get with him, and they can make it happen.
Absolutely.
With that being said, I'm Redline Gary with Curtis Noble. Keep it on the track.
What's up, race fans? Redline Gary coming at you here, and today's local businesses. Yes, you heard it right, local businesses. It's a family-owned trio of businesses. First off the rip, we have NTC Drift Trikes, LLC, followed by Speedy Skins, and rounding it out, last but not least, Noble Armor Coatings. All three of these businesses' links are in the description below. So, with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell. We're always coming out with new drivers. Love to have you guys on board to support. And if you know a local business that you'd like to shout out, please leave them a little thing in the comments below. The more word we can get out about local businesses, the better. They need all the support that they can get. With that, Redline Gary, keep it on the track.